And I'm recording this, so you'll be able to watch this later tonight. And this is a little hairy, so you want to try to make sure you understand all this perfectly clear. We're going to learn about rules to identify intervals now, okay? Now that we know our major key signatures, look here. Everyone look up here. Use your eyes to look at me. Yeah, the eyes work best. Use the eyes. We know our major key signatures now, right? Okay? Now we're going to put them to work, and we're going to use them a lot. And you want to do this. This is how people, when you hear people that are great musicians and they know stuff right off the top of their head, this is one of the ways they do it, is they use it a lot. I studied German when I was getting my doctorate. I had to master German to get my freaking doctorate. It was a pain in the butt. And I knew it pretty good way back then. I haven't used it at all. It's been like 20 years since I got my doctorate finished. And you know what? I don't remember any of it because I don't use it. So if you use stuff, you're going to remember it. Okay? Now, first of all, let's go to another blank screen real quick here. When you have two notes like this or this, we call this an interval. Okay? The relationship between those two notes is an interval. And I have two different parts of the interval. I call one part of it general. Very simple. I say, what is the general interval here? Check it out. Look at the board real quick. I call this 1. We count the first note. This is 2. The space is 3. The line is 4. And the space is 5. So the general interval, and that's just a Garyism, okay? A lot of the stuff I teach you is Garyisms, just trying to get you to understand it. The general interval is a fifth. Dig? Okay? What would this general interval be? That's a third, right? 1, 2, 3. Does everyone understand that? Everyone understand why that's a third? Good. All right. Well, then after we get the general interval, we have to go to something called the specific interval. And when you're dealing with specific intervals, they can only be certain qualities. 1, 4, 5, and 8. 1, 4, 5, and 8 are perfect. You don't need to write this down, folks. But if you like writing stuff down, please, by all means, go ahead, okay? If that works for you. So do whatever you want. It's all written down. It's all already in the stuff for you. But if writing it down helps you get it better, then good. 1, 4, 5, and 8 can be perfect. You'll never have a major or a minor 1, 4, 5, or 8. If someone says, oh, that's a major fourth, you know, they're not quite with it, okay? They are really clueless, okay? They're probably not going to do well on the test. Major and minor are 2, 3, 6, and 7. And of course, 8, 9, 10, those are just an octave. We're adding an octave now. Does everyone know that a 1 and an 8 are sort of the same thing? Does everyone know that a 2 and a 9 are sort of the same thing? You all cool with that? Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so now, understand there's those two models, okay? And diminished and augmented, all the intervals can be diminished and augmented. So they're kind of a little hairier. They're a little, messier or whatever. But today, it's important that you understand these rules to identify the intervals. First of all, you're going to figure out what the general interval is. The next thing is, what is the specific interval? The specific interval, we have 3 rules. There's actually 5 rules. And by the way, on the test, again, this is going to be word for word. You have to know the stuff word for word. And here's the definition. And this is all typed out neat for you. It's on Blackboard. If you look for the rules to identify intervals, you'll see a really nice little document I put together with a series of questions you can ask yourself. You've seen it already, Roberto. Okay? When the upper note is in the major key of the lower note, but the lower note is not in the major key of the upper note, we say the interval is major. Now, folks, what I have always done since I was in high school with memorizing these rules is I thought about my favorite interval. One of my favorite intervals has always been the major third on the piano, a C and an E. I just like that interval, okay? Let me see if I can find a place to write here. That might be kind of goofy, but I'm going to do it anyway. So it's these two notes. Can you see those? Are those coming up on the screen? Oh, crap, that's no good. Let me just find a blank page. We go to blank page real quick. Okay, so what I just played is this C and this E. Dig? Okay? That's a third, right? Now, I haven't memorized as a major third, but let's go through the rules real quick. Is the upper note E in the major key of the lower note? What's the major key of the lower note? C. What is that major key? No flats and sharps. So when you go from a C to a C on a scale, is there an E in there or is there E flat or E sharp? It's an E natural, isn't it? So the answer to that question is yes. The upper note is in the major key of the lower note. Dig? Yes. Cool, understand that? Is the lower note C in the major key of the upper note? E. What's the key of E? Everyone? 4 sharps, right? Hopefully you've got that quick. You need to know these things quick. Did I tell you need to know them quick? Yes, you need to know them quick. 4 sharps. What are they? F, C, G, D. Why do you know that? Because the order is sharps. F, C, G, D. Did? Cool. Is C sharp one of them? Yes, so the answer to that question is no. C natural is not in the key of E major. C sharp is C sharp, but not C. Dig? Cool? So, in this case, the upper note is in the major key of the lower note, but the lower note is not in the major key of the upper note. Therefore, we call that a major third. Dig? Okay. Now let's go back to this other slide here. Okay. So now this rule, that's the rule for my major intervals. This rule is exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. Isn't that awesome? A minor interval, when the upper note is not in the major key of the lower note, but the lower note is in the major key of the upper note, we say the interval is minor. Cool? Understand? It's just the exact opposite. This time I can draw on the board here, so I will. Let's do this note and this note. B flat and G. Is B flat in the key of G? What's the key of G, everyone? 1 sharp. You gotta be fast, right? Is there a B flat in the key of G? No. When you go from G to G in a major scale, the only note you're going to alter is that F sharp, right? Yeah. Okay, so is B flat in the key of G? No. The upper note is not in the major key of the lower note. Is the lower note in the major key of the upper note? Is G in the key of B flat? What's the key of B flat? 2 flats. Is one of them G flat? Heck no, right? So your answer is the upper note is not in the major key of the lower note, but the lower note is in the major key of the upper note. Therefore, we say the interval is minor. We have there, ladies and gentlemen, a minor third. Dig? Making sense to you? Okay? Now, one of the coolest rules, the next rule, identifies perfect intervals. When the upper note is in the major key of the lower note and the lower note is in the major key of the upper note, we say the interval is perfect. Okay? They're in the key of each other, aren't they? Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. What could be more perfect than that? Right? It's perfect. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example. Notice I'm always picking examples to work. So let's do A and E. Okay? Come on, baby. There we go. Okay. Is E in the key of A? What's the key of A? Quick. 3 sharps. Good. What's the key of E? 4 sharps. Is E in the key of A? Is one of those 3 sharps? Is it E sharp? No. So E is in the key of A. Yes? Dig? Is A in the key of E? What's the key of E? 4 sharps. F, C, G, D. Yeah? Is one of them an A sharp? No. So they're in the key of each other, aren't they? So what do you have there, folks? A perfect fifth. Dig? Okay. Now, we get to the next one. Why do you think I wrote the word smaller so big up there? Yeah, I want you to remember, exactly. Because so many kids, I teach that word, I stress that word every freaking time, and then some kids say it's lower, it's flatter, it's a half step lower. No, not necessarily so. Okay? Diminished intervals are a half step smaller than a minor or a perfect interval. Okay? So here's what happens, folks. Let's just say, oh crap. And again, this penmanship, I look like, gosh, it's horrible penmanship. I'm just not used to this fancy little gizmo thing. So let's say these 2 notes are the notes. Usually with augmented intervals and diminished intervals, they're going to look a little hairier than the other stuff, okay? It's going to look a little bit more intense, look a little more confusing, okay? And when you have A flat and F sharp, right away, well, they're probably not in the key of each other, right? It's probably not going to be a perfect interval. It's unlikely that it'll be major or minor. But when you see something like that, folks, just take some of the variables away. It's almost like doing an algebra problem. Okay? So let's solve the problem without one of those things. You see the difference here? You got an F sharp over here, and over here we don't have an F sharp, okay? So what is the interval on the left side right now? It's a third, dig, right? All right, so that's a third. Is A flat in the key of F? No. Is F in the key of A flat? What's the key of A flat? 4 flats, right? B, E, A, D. Is one of them F flat? No. So, is F in the key of A flat? You bet your bangy, right? Yeah? Cool. Everyone totally positive about this. That's the cool thing about this class is you can be totally sure. Okay? A flat is not in the key of F, but F is in the key of A flat. What kind of interval is that, everyone? All right. Now, here's where I need you to use your hands. Okay? Here's where I need you to use your hands. And I wish I could figure out how to do this on the laptop thing, because I'm recording this lecture right now, and you're not going to see it. Okay, well, whatever. Take your 2 hands like this. Here's your F, here's your A flat. Dig? Okay, this is a Garyism. I admit it's the dorkiest thing in the world. But here's your F and the A flat. When you put the F sharp on that bottom note, what happens? Right? What happens in the space between your 2 hands? It just got smaller. So therefore, you know, this bad boy here is a diminished third. Dig? You see how important hands are? I agree. It's stupid. It's dorky. But it helps you understand that concept. Augmented intervals. Same idea, okay? When you look at this, you see some sort of fourth, yes? Okay? C sharp and G, they seem kind of hairy. Is C sharp in the key of G? No. Is G in the key of C sharp? No. They don't like each other at all, right? So let's solve the problem without one of the variables. Dig? See what I'm doing here? Everyone understand? Okay. So, is C in the key of G? You bet your bangy. Is G in the key of C? Yes. You bet. Okay? So that is right now, say it? Perfect fourth. What could be more perfect than that? Hands. Perfect fourth. Put the sharp back on the top note. What did you just do? You made it larger. Understand? Do you understand the concept? It is now larger. So that's why you got to think of that as being larger. Okay? Now, let's see. It's real important that you understand that only certain things can be, perfect. Only certain things can be major and minor. Okay? And now I think I'm going to stop this and we'll drill a little bit.